opportunity to be here with y'all and see a lot of people that I look at every day on the IPA calls. Everybody who has talked about the IPA calls and the benefit of those, if you can get on them, do it. For a long time, we've had a lot of resources that have been available to us, to me, that I wasn't utilizing. And once you make the decision to be really serious about your business, that needs to be one of the things that you're doing, not just the 10-15 call, but even Brent, is Brent still in the room? Give a shout out for the coaches corner as well. That happens at 10. That's really good, inspiring. The calls on Wednesday night, the company calls on Monday night, Saturday. There's plenty of opportunity. So if you are sitting in the mindset, and I've been there, if you're sitting in the mindset of feeling like you don't know what to do and you're waiting for somebody else to do it for you, stop it. There are plenty of resources and it's your responsibility. You own your business. You own your business. It's not somebody else's responsibility to do it for you. It's awesome when you can link arms together and you can plow forward together, but it's not somebody else's responsibility to drag you along. So there's plenty of resources. Get on there, ask the questions. That is not on my notes, but I just felt like somebody needed to hear that. So get on those resources. So my name's Sherry Keye, and I am from the central part of North Carolina. I've been there my whole life, and about 8 years ago, as I was approaching, I was actually in my 40s, my early 40s, and just kind of realized, sort of woke up and realized I'd never really struggled with weight. Always been somebody that had high energy, but all of a sudden, I'm gaining weight and not really understanding why. Until I stopped and realized I was spending a little too much time rolling through fast food restaurants. I have 2 daughters at the time. They were around middle school, high school, playing sports, busy. My husband and I, this was pre-owning the health food store and my healthy journey, but we were busy. You guys relate to that, right? And a lot of people that you know just living busy lives and focused on just giving everything we had to our girls as far as our time. And we rolled through the Chick-fil-A on a regular basis. I love to cook, so it wasn't that I wasn't able to cook. I'm a good cook. I think my daughter's here. I think she can say I'm good, good cook. But we just didn't have time, or we didn't feel like we had time because our health wasn't a priority. And that makes a big difference. When all of a sudden your health becomes your priority, you make the time for the things that are important. But at that point, it wasn't a priority, so we didn't make the time for it. So what began to happen is I began to gain weight, and I didn't really like that. I found myself being very self-conscious of how I looked in a pair of shorts, things that especially, and I think the men struggle with it too, but ladies, we have a different level of struggle, I believe, as we start to gain. So there is a wonderful lady that happens to be in the room today. I actually get the opportunity to introduce her next. But Keye Hicks and we already knew each other. I worked full-time in the ministry for a period of time in my life, and Kaye's family attended the church that I was on staff at. So Keye and I had known each other for years. And Keye Hicks and a gentleman by the name of Steve Taylor, since some of you guys know Steve, they had created a nutrition program. Just a little back history there. Steve had come on board with RX. This was 12 years ago, probably 12 years ago, and realized that you have all these great supplements, but if you can't help people with nutrition, you're a little bit lost. And so he met Keye, and Keye and Steve created the Next 56 Days. You guys are getting ready to hear from the person who created the Next 56 Days. How awesome is that? We invite you to follow our page too. I'm going to put a plug. The Next 56 Days is on Facebook, no spaces. It is a private page that about a year ago, Keye felt very strong that we needed to share with the world. And so we allow anybody who wants to come to that page. It's a great resource. Come see us if you have questions about it. But Keye, because I had a relationship with her, and they had started the Next 56 Days, and I no longer worked at the church. I didn't even live in that city anymore, but I saw what was happening. Okay, so that's gonna go back to us talking about dripping on people on social media, because we were friends and they were experiencing transformations and help. I needed that. And because I trusted her, I had a relationship with her that had nothing to do with nutrition, but I reached out to her. I still remembered I was in the school line, sitting in the school line, waiting to pick kids up from school. And I called her and said, tell me what you're doing. What's this next 56 days? I didn't have a clue about RX or the supplements. It wasn't about that. For me, it was, I need transformation. I need help. And so that was where my whole journey began. And that's been 8 years ago. And at that time, Next 56 was fairly new. It was moving pretty fast, almost faster than they could keep up with. I will tell you that Keye Hicks is a introvert and typically a very quiet person. I can say that because I knew her prior, but being a part of 56 Days and this company, she has been able to get in front of people and speak in a way that she never did before, which is exciting for me. But it was through that company that I had a health transformation. I think this is my first slide there. So this was me 50 pounds heavier in 2014. And that was right before I got on the program. I work at children's camps and youth camps in the summer. It's a big part of who I am and what I do. So if you follow me, you got to see all that fun stuff from this summer. But one of the things that I like to point out in this health transformation is the difference between not just my size, but my confidence. Do you guys see it? Do you see my shorts? It's the difference in confidence right there between being a size 14 and 50 pounds heavier to a size 8. And I have on kids' shirts because I was at camp. And that second picture was several years ago. And since then, I've taken it to another level. If you follow me on social media, for whatever reason, this year I'm turning 50 and I think I have to become a runner. I think I have to, and I've never ran in my life, what in the world, but I decided I wanted to do a half marathon for my 50th birthday to celebrate, and it's coming up, y'all. So when you see my posts, just know those posts are not necessarily for y'all, they are for me to keep me accountable and to just kind of keep that excitement going. So throw some love my way. All right. And it's hard because I've never been in that world before, but I am still transforming my body. 8 years later, and I am still going. So I've kept my 50 pounds off. For you guys that are on your journeys and you're releasing weight, do know that it is sustainable as well too. I love the products. I am a product of the products. Someone mentioned earlier, asked the question about, do you still take the products? I'll be honest with you, I'm afraid to stop taking any of them because I take a lot. I do. I take a lot. I've slowly incorporated. In the beginning, it was all about nutrition. And that's something I try to be real transparent about. For me, I knew nothing. And everything that I thought I knew was wrong. It was completely wrong. And so as I learned about nutrition, we focused on nutrition. Even when I became a brand partner, because they required it of me to be a coach, because I became a coach. I didn't even know what that meant. So I'm almost kind of like Kristen. I'm embarrassed to say I've been a brand partner for 8 years, but it's really only been I'm being really honest, last 6 months that I've really gone after my business. Probably the last year that I've been a little more alert and aware to it. But I was focused on the nutrition piece of it. And so need to kind of make the connections here, but the nutrition piece of it is what drove me to opening the health food store, because I'm in a small community and we were exploding the next 56 days and people needed options. But that's what worked well for me. It doesn't mean that you have to go and open up a health food store. It's a lot, okay? Having a business like that is a lot. So it's a business within a business. But I was focused on the nutrition store, not on the products in this amazing company. So I could have done a lot more a long time ago, but that just wasn't the journey that was set in front of me. So what I will tell you that when 2023 rolled around, last year I've had my health food store for about 6 years. Last year I made a big decision to actually change the business model up a little bit. I downsized. really went from kind of a full-time thing to a part-time thing so that I could spend more time with family and other businesses and be able to work this a little bit more. But it was in Destin this year. How many were in Destin this past April? So quite a few. That's where I met a lot of you guys out in April. And I saw Robin and all these ladies stepping up, and they were talking about selling these drops. And you may have heard on the IPA call the other day, because Todd called, not called me out in a bad way, but had said, in my store, I didn't sell a lot of drops on the shelf. I didn't focus on them. I felt like, well, they were all right. I really thought that they were something that you kind of used for a month and then you just kind of moved on. The nutrition piece of it just seemed like a bigger deal, and it is important, but I started to rethink and refocus a little bit. Don't ever think that that you got the answers. Because I've been selling and doing this stuff for a long time, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? It was just the craziest thing to me. And so I started to reevaluate, started taking lots of notes. I'm a note taker too. And I thought, well, I already have a community. I am engulfed in a community of people who are already taking these products, and I just haven't been focusing in the right spot. So intentionality is one of the best things that you can do. When you get focused and you decide to be intentional about something, it changes everything.
So in 2 weeks from the day you launched, with your intentionality selling drops, how much money did you make?
So May the 9th is when I really made the first post that I did a TikTok a couple weeks before that did okay. And I'm not a TikToker either. I'm learning. But May the 9th is when I did the first post, because I wasn't doing the drops. I hadn't done the drops in years. But I also kind of thought, let me pick these drops up. I had some at home, but I wasn't doing them. And I had just finished a run, no makeup, hair pulled back, probably a little gray line showing. And I had those drops in my hand, and I just said, I'm starting something new. Come join me. And it wasn't full of a ton of information. It's just very simple, and you can go back and look at it. And it set off a wildfire, and it was crazy. I'm gonna be honest, it was crazy, but it was fun. And 2 weeks, Todd, I don't know if I could give you an exact number in 2 weeks. It was high. Within a very short period of time, I couldn't keep up. Even though I had inventory, I didn't have the kind of inventory that required. So I began that process. I never, ever thought that doing pre-orders would be the way to go. At that point, if you don't have inventory, or if you're working with a brand partner that doesn't have the money, I'm working hard right now with a brand partner that does not have the money to have inventory. And I'm trying to help her understand, if you pre-sell this many drops, then you can order this many drops, and then you roll that back around again. But I've sold well over 200 boxes of drops at this point since May. That I know of, that I know the people.
And you sell most years at 176.
So most of them I sold at 176. I'll be honest, because we got to a point where there's so many people involved now that are selling them a lot lower. It did make it a little bit tougher. So I did pull down to kind of create, sustain some of that momentum. I could probably still sell them at 176 to a lot of people, but the 149 is still good. I sell them at 149 now. I make sure that they understand I'm buying them in bulk, and that is a sale price. That way, that gives me the ability, if I at some point want to transition back to the 176, and there may be a time to do that. So be cautious in how you approach that, because you don't want to ever lock yourself into that lower price. So probably with commission, and I'm gonna dig into that just a little bit more here. I'm sure close to $20,000 in retail profit with commissions, because there's some strategy and all
That
of
was in
that.
2 weeks, or that's since you started?
No, since I started. Okay. Yeah, but in a couple of weeks, thousands. I don't know exactly. It just all happens very, very quickly. But let me dig into that just a little bit. There's some of the excitement every time. So, and I have stood here and messed all my little notes up. One of the things that I wanted to make sure and tell you guys is FOMO. I love that abbreviation, FOMO. Who knows what that means? Who knows what FOMO is? Oh, you guys are about to learn something new. FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. Fear of missing out. So when you create FOMO, either on your social media, through your conversations with people, all of a sudden, people don't necessarily even hear what it is. They just think they need it, whatever you got. Some of you guys, are there any Disney fans in here? Like, I'm talking hardcore. Okay, I got a friend right here. So I'm a pretty hardcore Disney fan. We're annual pass holders. We go pretty regular. There are certain times of the year that certain things come out at Disney, but people go crazy over it. It doesn't even make sense. The blue Starbucks mugs and things like that, and they don't even know what they're excited about, but they want it. I'm serious. They just want it because everybody else has got it. And so that's got to be your mindset, is to create FOMO. You want them to feel like they have to have whatever it is that you're offering. So when those boxes start coming in, and I'm ordering 10, 20, 30 boxes at a time, let's see, it wasn't those, actually, it's this one. This picture right here with the stack, I had worked at the store all day that day, had a big day, big run that morning, and I was exhausted. And I got home and I had a box with 30 boxes of drops. And that was my first big ship. And I had never ordered that many drops at one time. One of the things that Todd asked me, or we talked about, I had not even sold that many boxes of drops off the shelf in my store in 5 years. And here I was ordering them all at one time, expecting for them to go out the door in a week's time, 2 weeks' time. But I told my husband, I said, we need to take a picture. Who was that Patty that was talking about it? I said, we need to take a picture. And he's like, because he's not the picture taker, bless him. But I said, let's figure something out. And I kind of moved them around. I said, well, that's a lot of boxes. I wonder how tall that would be. So I just started stacking them. And I literally just leaned on it. And he snapped probably 2 pictures, not very many. And I posted it. And that right there, that picture on the left, it was another viral, thing. It just went crazy. And before I knew it, I couldn't keep up again. It's just messenger. So, I hit 100 boxes. I'm like, oh, what are we going to do? So I did something fun, just keep it fun. That's fear of missing out, because people see there's excitement going on. Like these are all separate shipments. This wasn't, hey, let me do something different on this day in a different outfit. Every time something, y'all know, every time a shipment came in, I put those boxes and tried to figure out something new and asked for Joey to take a picture, take a picture. But then, that's, I don't love having that's not who I am, but I know that it's important in order to, create that FOMO. So that would be something I would tell you, is create the FOMO. Let's talk about some details. Let's dig in real quick, okay? So where's Kim? Is Kim still in here? I do want to tell you, and I wish I had said when she was up here. After Destin, and I was trying to figure this thing out, and I'm watching, and Kim and I don't even remember at what point we connected. And we're not on the same line. I don't know that I'm on any of y'all other than Karian, but I reached out to Kim and I said, can you help me understand? Just help me understand this. Again, y'all, I've been in this for a long time, but what they were doing was very different than what I was doing. And they were getting much better results than what I was getting. So I needed to understand. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And sometimes you might have to ask the same question 10 times. Kim Bailey will tell you that I have asked him and Steve Teglis the same question over and over, because sometimes that first answer that you get, a little bit of it sinks in, but it may not all sink in. But I called Kim, we probably stayed on the phone for an hour. She had lots of brand partners that she was pouring into. She had no benefit in the pouring into me, not financially anyways, but we talked together. I think we prayed together as well on the phone that day, because some things were going on. And I appreciate that. I just want to let you know how much I appreciated that. Don't be afraid to lean on each other. I know a lot of y'all have messaged me, and I've messaged other people too, but Kim is the one who really helped me see and understand this. That lifeboat pack, that's her baby right there. That 4-pack of drops, when you have somebody, and we can get into, moving a preferred customer into a brand partner. But this is a great way to do it, is if you've got somebody loving those drops and they want the opportunity to be able to sell them, you want to help people make money. If you can help people make money and get that money in their pocket as soon as possible, that will lock them in. This is the way to do it. You can sign up a brand partner, get them on a pack, and they can try all these things and stuff. But when you do it this way and you get money in their pocket, so I just wanted to do real simple math for you. $371 for a 4-pack plus taxing and ship in my area in North Carolina. If I ordered this, it would be about $409. I like to keep it real. If you put $371, that's not real. $409 is real. So $102.25 each is how much you're paying for it. If you turn around in my graphic, I had to fix it this morning because it used to say $176, but I know y'all sell them for $150, and I'm doing that now too. So sell 4 of those at $150, so you've got $600. That's $191 in your pocket. Okay, it's just quick, simple, easy. The other thing is when you really, well, let me go to this next one. Take that up the next level is that 10-pack. You're going to pay $880 plus tax and ship, so $955. I promise you cannot start a business anywhere for $955. I probably spent $10,000 when I opened my health food store. Okay, any people that are in here that own businesses know you cannot start businesses for that, especially not $400. So $955 divided by 10, $95.50. You sell 10 of them at $150, $1,500 profit, $545. Couple of things that are really important here is, in order to purchase this, if you pre-sold, I think it's 5 or 6, then you've got enough money to pay for it. So if you've got somebody who says, I can't afford it, I can't afford to start a new business, yes, you can. Pre-sale. Have a lady that just got on the drops who messaged me, I think yesterday or the day before, and said she's a school teacher, she's going back to the school, and she's worried that she's gonna fail at her health journey because of the fact that she's at the school. And I said, look, then you gotta get some other people to school. You need to get some other people to school on this journey with you. She said, well, how do I do that? I said, well, first thing you gotta do is let them know. And so she was very quick to put a post out on her Facebook page talking about her journey. I said, this is your accountability to yourself, and you might get a couple of friends that join in there with you. Well, the next conversation I will have with her, she's starting those drops this weekend. When she starts telling me she's losing weight on those drops, this is the next conversation I'm having with her, is let's start selling them. Let's start selling them. And you pre-sell so many of them, and then you take that money and you buy the drops. You don't have to have a bunch of money in order to do this business. And it just starts rolling. So get the pre-sales. I think we've talked about this a lot on the IPAs. You know, there's Apple Pay, there's Afterpay, there's PayPal, Venmo. There's lots of options. You have Square, you can invoice people. I do that a lot as well too. But it doesn't have to be hard. It really doesn't. Don't overthink it. Find people who are successful at it and make it happen. I don't remember. Oh, this is the last one. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that before I go on? And you can do that with any product, but right now this is kind of the hot ticket in town. And this is, you know, people respond to the hormones and they respond to the weight loss. So this is what works. Yeah.
Just because when people hear it from different people, it sinks in differently. Explain, please. That is what you're making, but that's not including if you've signed up a brand partner, ordering under them.
Okay, thank you, Brittany.
You're
I
getting
knew
that
there was
money
another level to that. So especially with, well, it really with anything, but the 10-pack. So what happened, so I brought a brand partner in yesterday, and I brought several in this week, and I signed somebody up yesterday. I knew I needed to order 30 boxes of drops. I've ordered 40 boxes of drops this week, by the way, but I needed to order 30 yesterday. I could have ordered them early in the day or the day before, but I knew I had a brand partner coming in. There was no way I was ordering those 30 boxes of drops until I got that brand partner in. So once I got the brand partner in, and this was all happening at like 11:30 last night, after we drove 10 hours, after I went and ran in the gym at 10 o'clock last night, I was signing and carrying the girls to they're in the bed and I'm over there just going. And so after I put the brand partner in, I ordered the 30 boxes of drops under their account. because you get 30% commission whenever you have orders that happen under new brand partners. So on top of this retail profit, that 30%, so I'm spending my money to buy these drops and to basically get 30% of it back. Y'all, this is the easiest thing ever. If you will allow it to be, don't overthink it. Thank you. Is that what you wanted to hear?
I did,
Yes.
just to clarify for some people.
Yes, perfect, thank you. So, any other questions?
Yes, Sherry, so are you doing mostly, you're delivering them or shipping them? You're
So
not
there,
doing this
yeah,
stuff?
so that's a benefit to having the store. I'll be honest with you, a lot of people just come and pick them up at the store. I do a fair amount of shipping, but by no means do I have to ship anywhere near as many as somebody who doesn't have a place to pick them up. So that is beneficial, but if they need them shipped, they're paying the shipping on it, so there's no money lost in doing that. I just add that, add that in.
And you don't use the smart link then because you don't.
So I use this rarely, it just depends on the situation. I'm thankful we have a lot of different resources that we can use. There are times that the smart link makes sense. I use the smart link some on my social media, especially TikTok, because that seems to hit a little wider group of people that I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
On your pre-sales, occasionally I run into somebody else saying, I just can't spend that much. Do you ever let them pay like half of it and then have them deliver it? Or
I do not, I'll be honest with you, no ma'am, but what I do is I offer them Afterpay, which is, I use it through the Square account. I'll be honest, and somebody else might can answer, I'm not sure, is it offered outside of Square? Somebody give me
we use Square too.
okay, so Square is basically a PO, like an ability for you to collect money, you have Square?
I used to have Square for
Okay.
any grocery shop, but I haven't had it in years.
Yeah, so if you still have your account or if you wanted to open a new account, Afterpay, what Afterpay is it allows them to make payments in 4 equal
okay.
payments. So for 150, you divide that by 4. They have to make that first payment as soon as they purchase. 2 weeks later, it automatically, you get paid up front.
Right.
I will tell you, there's a little higher percentage that Square keeps in order to provide that service, because there's a risk taken. You're not taking the risk, Square's taking the risk.
Right.
So I think it's 6% that they keep, but I'm telling you, there are a lot of those sales that you would never make if you
Right.
didn't offer Afterpay. And so offering Afterpay, don't get caught up on those transaction fees. That's part of doing business. If you ever own a
Right.
business, you have rent, you have utilities, it's part of doing business, okay? Those fees are, don't get hung up on that. So, normally it's like 2 or 3%, I don't know what kind of account you have, 6% is Afterpay. So you do have to, and I don't mind helping with that, or if you've got some on your team, but you do have to give permission for it, you have to know where to click it to offer it. But if someone isn't able to pay the whole thing, the Afterpay system is the best way to do it, and it automatically takes the payments, you get paid up front.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great.
That's
It's great.
tremendous.
Yes. Any other questions? Anybody else? All right, and I'm gonna finish up here. Change begins at the end of your comfort zone. You guys have heard that a lot today. It is hard to step out of what is comfortable, and what's comfortable for one person might be a different level for somebody else, but I'm telling you, you will never get change if you don't initiate change and do something new. And then following up there with my favorite verse at the end. So if you have other questions, come find me. I'm more than happy to help anybody that I can. Awesome. Yes. So I'm going to introduce Keye here. So Keye is my sponsor, been my sponsor for 8 years and a very, very good friend of mine. We're very blessed. Actually, I meant to mention this earlier and I lost track. We've got both of our daughters with us. Shelby is in the pink, and so many of you guys are like, oh, she's your little twin. She is a brand partner. Even though she looks very, very young, she is old enough to be a brand partner. She's a mom to me too as well. So I'm expecting my first grandchild. Shelby has been a brand partner, fairly new, but being a brand partner, we're talking about our wives, is she wants to be able to stay home. She's a school teacher, she's an elementary school teacher, but she wants to be able to stay home. So I think she said to me one day, she was like, Mama, I have to make this work because I want to be able to stay home. So she's ready to go after this. She's already signed up. She's got a second generation brand partner already. Hannah's here. Hannah is not old enough to be a brand partner, but she will be. Kristen said that earlier. She will be when she turns 18.
If y'all weren't so honest, you can tweak the date and put them in.
Oh, goodness. Find a way. That's something you tell all the time. But Carrie is my sponsor. She is one of the founders for the next 56 days. We are ingredient snobs. I mean, it's bad. We really study ingredients. We know ingredients very well. I was so excited when y'all started talking about maltodextrin, and I was like, oh my goodness gracious. But Carrie is going to share more specifically about sugar and diabetes, and she's a wealth of knowledge, registered nurse, lots of good stuff to share. So I'm excited that we're here together and we're going after it.
You called me that day, and you said that you were to do a program, I called Steve, I'm like, Steve, this is the one person that I want on my team, and
So
she didn't buy anything.
because
You
it was
didn't
like
buy
2
anything.
years. It was 2 years from the time that we got connected with the nutrition before I made that decision. And so don't give up on people. Either people that you see something, you see a spark, because I'm a talker. I never, it was never a big deal for me to get in front of people, and she knew that. And don't give up on people, because at some point it'll be their time. So
And Sherry was talking about Jill and her dream to be able to stay,
I'll do it for you.
it was her dream to be able to stay at home as a mom, and that's where I was. So I am a registered nurse, and I was working part-time at the YMCA. I still do that because I love to exercise, and that keeps me grounded and motivated. But my husband told me that when my third child went to kindergarten, that I was going to go back working full-time as a nurse. And by then, I didn't want to do it anymore. So I was really praying for God to bring me something, but I didn't, and I prayed for it for 3 years, but I didn't know what